Okay, now I'm going to start the next lesson of the Principles of Management course. And with this lesson, I'm going to start the directing part. And the first lesson of the directing part is understanding and managing individual behavior. So these are the lesson outcomes or learning outcomes. After completion of this lesson, you should be able to define directing, identify the goals of understanding individual behavior within organizations, describe different personality theories, as well as describe the role of perception and its factors influence on human behavior, discuss the personality theories and their relevance in shaping employee behavior, discuss contemporary issues in organizational behavior. So these are the learning outcomes of the Principles of Management course, the lesson of directing, basically the understanding and managing individual behavior lesson. Right. So definitions of directing. What do you mean by directing? Directing is the interpersonal aspect of managing by which subordinates are led to understand and contribute effectively to the attainment of enterprise objectives. So basically, this is sort of an interpersonal aspect of managing where the subordinates are basically led to understand as well as contribute effectively to achieve organizational goals and objectives. So directing refers to the process of instructing, guiding, counseling, motivating, and leading people in the organization to achieve its objectives. So in order to achieve organizational goals and objectives, actually, we need to have a process of guiding employees. Sometimes they need counseling, so counsel the employees. We need a process to motivate them, lead our employees who are working in our organization to achieve those organizational goals and objectives. So that is basically happening in the directing part of the management. Okay, now let's see what are the characteristics of directing. The first characteristic of directing is directing initiates action. That means now other functions basically prepare a setting for action, right? For an example, how action has to be carried on the directing, initiate or start action. So by giving directions or by giving instructions, the managers get the work started in the organization. So directing initiates action. Then the next characteristic is directing takes place at every level of management. What do you mean by that? Now, when it comes to directing, it is a pervasive function because it performed by all managers, by the managers in all levels and in any location, right? So every manager needs to supervise their subordinates, guide, motivate, communicate with their subordinates. So and why they are doing these things? Because they need to get things done. So directing basically takes place at every level of management, right? But if you have a comparison, we can see the time spent in directing is comparatively more in operational level management, right? So as mentioned in the slide, directing basically takes place at every level of management. And directing is a continuous process, right? It's a continuous process because a manager cannot just rest after issuing orders and instructions, right? He or she has to continuously guide, continuously supervise, continuously motivate the employees or the subordinates, right? And he or she continuously must take steps to make sure that the orders, that the instructions that he or she has given is actually done by the employees or the subordinates. So this is a continuous process. And basically directing flow from top to bottom, right? Directions basically given by the managers to their subordinates. So every manager can direct his subordinate, his or her subordinate, and take directions from immediate boss. So basically directing starts from top level and it flows to the lower level, right? So these are the characteristics of directing. Directing initiates action, not like other functions. And directing takes place at every level of management. It's a continuous process. You cannot just give the orders and wait and see. No, you have to follow up. And directing basically flows from top to bottom. Right. Now let's see what are the importance of directing. Directing helps to initiate action by people in the organization towards attainment of desired objectives, right? So that's why actually previously also I have told you the directing helps to initiate actions, right? It helps to initiate actions. For an example, if a supervisor guides his subordinates and clarifies their doubts in performing a task, it will help the worker to achieve work targets given to him, right? So directing integrates employee efforts in the organization in such a way that every individual effort contributes to the organizational performance. So basically directing helps to initiate actions. If somebody is not knowing how to do or how to perform a task, then he or she can get actually advices or the instructions from his or her supervisor. So the supervisor can guide guides her subordinate and clarify the doubts that his or her subordinate has in performing the given task. So after that, after guiding the subordinate correctly, then the subordinate actually gets an idea how to perform that task effectively and efficiently. So it will help to achieve the subordinate's target. So basically, directing helps to initiate action. So because of that, it's very much important for an organization. And directing integrates employee efforts in an organization in such a way that every individual effort contributes to the organizational performance. Thus, it ensures that the individuals work for organizational goals. For an example, a manager with good leadership abilities will be in a position to convince the employees working under him that individual efforts and team effort will lead to achievement of organizational goals. So basically, this directing actually helps to integrate employee effort in the organization, right? And in a way that each individual contribution leads to enhance the organizational performance, right? So that means every individual who is working in the organization is worked for achieving the organizational goals. Now here in this example, as you can see, now imagine that there is a manager who is having a good leadership abilities, right? And he or she is very good at convincing employees, right, under working him or her. So, by convincing his or her team or the subordinates who are working under him or her, so if that leader can convince the subordinates or the team members, then they will perform well. And when their performance is increasing, it will directly affect into the organizational performance, and the organizational performance also actually start to increase. So directing is very much important in that case also. And directing guides employees to fully realize their potential and capabilities by motivating and providing effective leadership. So this is important because in future lessons, actually, we are going to learn a separate lesson for leadership and motivation. So there I'm going to highlight the importance of leadership. So directing guides employees to fully realize their potential, right? Sometimes there are employees who cannot realize the importance of him or her, the capacity of him or her. So this directing guides the employees to fully realize their potential, their capabilities by motivating as well as by providing effective leadership. So motivation is very much important, as well as leadership also very much important when it comes to directing, right? Because it helps to show the capacity of employees. And a good leader can always identify the potential of his employees and motivate them to extract work up to their full potential. That's why I told you, good leaders, they can see the other employee's capacity, whether that employee has what sort of talents, right? Good leaders can understand them. So they helps to their subordinates to understand their capabilities and abilities, as well as motivate them to work like maximum way. And directing facilitates introduction of needed changes in the organization. Generally, people have a tendency to resist changes in the organization. That's normal, no? As human beings, we are not likely to change, right? So most of the time when there something happens or some change happen in the organization, first employees are begin to stop the change. So generally people have tendency to resist the change in the organization. Effective directing through motivation, communication, and leadership helps to reduce such resistance and develop required cooperation in introducing changes in the organization. So basically, effective directing through the motivation, through the good communication, through the good leadership helps to reduce such sort of resistance. Because now, as I told you, when something is happening in the organization, especially a change, right? It can be a system change, policy change, or something like that. The workers start to resist it. So if there is a effective directing, which creates through effective a good motivation and communication, as well as good leadership, so it helps to reduce this resistance, right? And it helps to build up the required cooperation in introducing this change into the organization. So because of these things, directing is very much important. And effective directing helps to bring stability and balance in the organization, since it fosters cooperation and commitment among the people and helps to achieve balance among various group activities and the departments. So effective directing helps to bring stability. It helps to bring balance in the organization. Why? Because it fosters the cooperation as well as commitment among the employees and help to achieve balance among various groups, activities, and the department. So because of these reasons, directing is very much important. First thing is, it helps to initiate action by people in the organization, and it helps to integrate employee efforts in the organization, as well as it guide employee to fully realize the potential and the capabilities of that employee, and directing facilitates introduction of needed changes in the organization. So because of these reasons, it's very much essential to have a good direction, right? And next, I would like to discuss about the principles of direction. So as you can see, there are like 6 principles. A principle of harmony of objectives, right? And the next one is principle of efficiency, principle of unity of command, principle of direct supervision, principle of communication, and principle of leadership. So these are the principles of direction. So what is principle of harmony of objectives? Now, sometimes there is a conflict between the organizational objectives and individual objectives. If I take an example, the organization wants profit to increase and to retain its major share, right? Whereas the employees may perceive that they should get a major share as a bonus, as they have worked really hard for it, right? So now here the directing plays an important role in establishing the harmony and the coordination between the objective of the both parties. So that is principle of harmony of objectives. And principle of efficiency. So that means we need to get the maximum contribution of the individuals, right? So management actually should adopt such directing policies which motivates the employees to give their maximum potential to achieve the organizational goals and objectives. And the second one is principle of unity of command. That means the subordinates should receive instructions from only one supervisor at a time, right? What will happen if that person is receiving instructions from different managers, right? So it will create confusions, it will create conflicts, right? And sometimes the disorder in the organization, and also the employee who is listening to all these commands cannot prioritize his or her work. So it will like create huge conflict within the organization as well as in the individual. So because of that, it says that principle of unity of command in the direction. And principle of direct supervision. So this is also very much important to have a direct supervision, right, of the individuals. They need to use appropriate direction techniques, right? To communicate, to supervise, to lead, to motivate employees. They need appropriate direction techniques. And the other thing is the principle of communication, right? That means the supervisor need to actually give the instructions very clearly, and the instructions need to be clearly conveyed to the employees, because and also it should be ensured that they have understood so the same meaning as they were intended to communicate. And principle of leadership. So this is also another principle which we can see in the direction. That means managers who are working within the organization should possess a good leadership quality to influence the subordinates and make them work according to their wish. So it is one of the most important principles in the directing as well, right? Okay. So goals of understanding individual behavior within organizations. Why we need to understand the individual behavior within the organization. What is the reason for that? Now, what is individual behavior? First, we need to learn about that now. So, individual behavior refers to the way in which an individual reacts or behaves at his place of work, right? How that individual reacts to a particular thing, how that individual behave at his or her workplace. So, it can be defined as a combination of reactions to internal and external stimuli. So, individual behavior means some sort of a combination of reactions to internal as well as external stimuli. So, individual behavior defines how a person will respond under distinct condition and will express different emotions such as happiness, rudeness, love, anger, right? So, these things. So, that is individual behavior. Now, if there is some sort of internal stimuli or external stimuli, we are responding to it now. So that is our individual behavior. So behavior of an individual have a great influence on the performance of the organization. We know that because the behavior of us actually have a great influence to our future as well. So same thing happens in the organization. The behavior of an employee has a great influence to the performance of the organization. If that employee is having a positive behavior, that will lead to enhance the productivity of both employee and the organization. On the other hand, if that employee is showing a negative behavior, then that will actually cause damages to both individual and the organization, and it will leads to reduce the profit level of the organization as well. So because of that, it's very much important to understand the individual behavior, because we need to manage it, right? We need to supervise it, we need to manage it. Because of that, and also the other thing is individual behavior has a high impact to the to the organizational performance as well, right? So these are the factors influencing individual behavior. Factors, there are basically 3 factors. Personal factors are there, environmental factors are there, organizational factors are there. So as you can see, the personal factors again can be divided into 2 parts, biographic characteristics, learned characteristics. So under the biographic characteristics, you can see physical, age, gender, religion, marital status are there. And under the learned characteristics, personality, perception, values are there. So as you can see, under the biographic characteristics, physical, age, gender, religion, marital status, these things actually comes under the biographic characteristics, which comes under personal factors, and these things actually influence the individual behavior of ones. As well as there are some learned characteristics, basically the personality, the way we perceive something, perception, and the values that we have. We learned all these things, so which is actually basically influence to the behavior of us. And there are several environmental factors as well. Employment level, it influence to the behavior of us, and also the wage rate, general economic environment, political factors, which is external to us, as well as which highly influence to our behavior. And when it comes to the organizational factors, there are physical facilities, structure and designing, reward system. So these things also influence to the behavior of an individual. Right. So role of attitude plays in job performance. What sort of role is playing by the attitude in job performance? First of all, we need to learn what is employee attitude. An attitude is based on many factors that an employee brings to the workplace, right? So the deep rooted of an employee attitude make it hard to change. It's very much hard to change if that attitude is deep rooted of that employee or the people, right? So however, there are like when it comes to attitude, it based on so many factors, and all these attitudes brings by the employee to the workplace, and how this attitude impact, because an employee's attitude has a potential to impact his interactions with others and his individual work performance. So if I have some kind of a attitude, like positive attitude with my job, then I will like perform it well. But if I have a negative attitude related to my job, then it will badly influence to the performance of mine. And so because of that, the employee attitude has a potential to impact his or her interactions with others and his or her individual work behavior as well, work performance as well. So attitude affects an employee's reactions to others, including colleagues, supervisors, customers. And attitude performance affects his perception of his job and his values to the organization. That's why I told you, because if I have a like positive sort of attitude regarding my job and the work that I need to perform, then I will like do it very nicely. But if I have a bad attitude relating to the jobs and about the peers, then the way I react is different than the previous one. So positive attitudes and job performance. So basically, managers needs to encourage and recognize employees with positive attitudes and satisfactory or above average performance level. So these employees contribute to a positive workplace and positive impact workplace morale. So now, if the managers can understand and encourage and recognize employees with positive attitude, and like it will create a sample to other, and these employees contribute to positive workplace and positively impact workplace morale. So they are often unnoticed because people with negative attitude or weak performance demand more of a manager's time, because of that, the employees who have a positive attitudes that are actually not noticed well. And recognition reinforces their positive attributes and promotes continuous achievement. So because of these things, it's very much essential to identify employees with positive attitudes, and it is essential to create some sort of strategies to enhance the positive attitudes of the employees, because it directly impacts to the job performance of the employee, and it leads to enhance the organizational effectiveness as well. Right. Then after that, after discussing about the attitudes and how it relates with the job performance, as well as the factors influencing the individual behavior and all these things, now we are moving to discuss about the personality. And understanding personality also very much important when it comes to directing, because you are going to direct employees as supervisors or as the managers. So identifying personality, what sort of personality that this employee is having, is very much important. So psychologists look at theories of personality to help them study people. Basically, the personality is made up of consistent and long-lasting patterns of behavior. When it comes to someone's personality, it actually consists with long-lasting patterns and patterns of behavior, right? So that is personality basically. So when it comes to personality, we can see different types of personality theories. Now I'm going to discuss these personality theories with you all. Right. So trait theories, we can see trait theories which is relating to personality theories, psychoanalytic theory, and social cognitive theories, humanistic theories. So these are the theories which comes under personality theories. Let's see one by one. right? Okay. Trait theories basically attempts to learn what traits make up personality and how they relate to actual behavior. The trait theory, actually, the theories which comes under trait theories tries to identify and learn what traits build the personality and how they relate with the actual behavior of the people or employees. Right. The next one is psychodynamic theories. Now, when it comes to psychodynamic theories, it focuses on the inner workings of personality, especially internal conflicts and struggles. Basically, the psychodynamic theories, it basically look at the inner workings of personality, the childhood behavior, these things, and especially the internal conflicts and struggles. Humanistic theories focuses on private, subjective experience and personal growth. And social cognitive theories attribute difference in personality to socialization, expectations, and mental processes. So these are the things that mainly considered by the social cognitive theory, socialization, expectations, and mental processes, right? So this is some sort of a summary, right? So trait theories, so that is the actually part one. Now attempt to learn what traits make up personality and how they relate to actual behavior. So that is comes under trait theories. Under the trait theory, it basically tries to find out what traits helps to develop this personality and how it relates with the actual behavior of the employee. So Jung's theory of two types is one thing, and this is Jung's theory. Carl Jung, Swiss psychiatrist, who was a Freudian discipline, believed that we are one or two personality types. Either we are categorized under introvert or else we categorize under extrovert, right? So, okay. So that is Carl Jung's theory of two types, personality theory. So according to the Carl Jung, he actually told that we comes under either introvert or extrovert theory personality. So this is Carl Jung. And the other one is Hans Eysenck, right? Three-factor theories. So according to Hans Eysenck, there are he's an English psychologist, and he believed that there are three fundamental factors in personality: extroversion versus introversion, emotional stability versus unstable, that is neurotic, and impulse control versus psychotic. So these are the actually Hans or Eysenck's three-factor theory. Okay, so you can see here it's introversion versus extroversion, or else emotional stable versus unstable, or else impulse control versus psychotic. Right. Next. So here, what is meant by introversion? Introversion is the direction or the tendency to direct one's thoughts and feelings toward oneself. Extroversion means it is the act of directing one's interest towards things outside the self, right? So the and the other thing is emotional stable versus unstable, or else we told it as neurotic. And also the third one is psychotic versus or impulse control versus psychotic. Right. Okay, so the next one is Raymond Cattell's source and surface traits theory. Okay, so let's see what is what is mentioned in this theory. Now, he is from England, basically, the Raymond Cattell. So he believed that there were two basic categories of traits, surface traits and source traits. So he is actually a psychiatric in England, and the surface traits means features that make up the visible area of personality, and source traits means the underlying characteristics of the personality. So he actually constructed 16 personality factors, right? And a personality test identifying 16 personality factors. Actually, basically, these are source traits. And he developed this. So the 16 personality traits are like this. So you can see in here, there are 16 personality traits, right? And basically he believed that if we want to get data to identify or to evaluate, to analyze this personality of one's, we have to have three sources. First one is life data, right? Life data. And the other one is the questionnaire, the data gathered from questionnaire. And the third one is the data gathered from testings, right? So, however, by doing all these things, he identified 16 personality traits, right? Personality factors like this. And after that, the Cattell also actually after all these things, right? It introduced the big 5 personality traits like this, right? Cattell believed that 5 factors were most important: openness, consciousness, extroversion, agreeable, and neuroticism, right? And here so this is the big 5 personality traits. As you can see, extroversion, agreeableness, consciousness, neuroticism, openness to experience, right? So if someone is score lower in the extroversion, that means he's sort of a loner, quiet and passive, reserved one. But if someone is scored very well under the extroversion personality trait, so that means he or she is very talkative, very active, very affectionate, right? And agreeableness also same. So you can read these things. If someone is score low under each category, what sort of personality traits are that he or she has, and on the other hand side, what sort of personality traits that he or she has if someone is highly score to each personality category. So you can read this. And next we want to discuss about the psychoanalytic theory, right? So in the psychodynamic theories basically focus on the inner workings of personality, especially internal conflicts and struggles, as I told you. So the father of this psychodynamic actually theories is Sigmund Freud. So according to Sigmund Freud, he is a physician, right? So he thought that his patients' problems were more emotional than physical. So he began his work by using hypnosis and eventually switched to psychoanalysis. So Freud has many followers, Carl Jung and Adler, actually these are few. So more than 100 years later, his work is still influential and very controversial. So today also we are using the research studies and the results of the Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic theory. So this is Sigmund Freud, and according to his psychoanalytic theory, he has identified three different uh, personality types: id, ego, and superego. Right, id, ego, and superego. So here, actually, we call this, and there are he actually identified level of awareness as well, and these are the structural models of mind, right? So it means innate biological instincts and urges, self-serving and these are self-serving and very irrational, and it actually happens when someone is totally unconscious. So works on pleasure principle, wishes to have its desire satisfied now without waiting and regardless of the consequences. So when someone is having it, so that means it tries to fulfill the or satisfy something now, just now, don't wait, right? Without waiting, they want to satisfy something now regardless. Actually, they are not thinking about the consequences as well. Now these are actually the structural model of the mind, ego and superego. So ego means executive, directs id energies. So partially conscious and partially unconscious here work on reality principle. So this is basically, it basically works on pleasure principle, but in here it uh, ego works on reality principle, delays action until it is practical and or appropriate. And the other thing is superego, judge or censor for thoughts and actions for the ego. Superego comes from our parents or caregivers. Guilty comes from the superego. So there are two parts, conscious and ego idols. So consciousness actually reflects actions for which a person has been punished or what we shouldn't do or be. And second part of the superego is reflects behavior once parents approved or rewarded, what we should do or what we need to be, like that. So that is superego, right? So this is actually runs under the morality principle, right? Morality principle. So if like if we are going to do a mistake or something wrong, then we will think, we will like feel guilty about it. So that is superego, right? Okay, and the next one is level of awareness in here. So as I told you, under the level of awareness, Sigmund Freud has introduced three parts: conscious, pre-conscious, and unconscious. Now, when it comes to conscious, that means everything you are aware of at a given moment. If I ask your name now, you know it. So you're conscious about it. And the pre-conscious means it's material that can easily be brought into awareness. So if you if you try someone, then you can recall it. That is pre-conscious. So if I ask what you have eaten today as your breakfast, then you sometimes you like want some time to recall it, right? If I ask what have you taken yesterday night as your dinner, so that means you need some time, you need some effort to recall it. So it's under pre-conscious level. And when it comes to unconscious, that means you're not aware about it, that it actually is in your mind, holds repressed memories and emotions and its instinctual drives. So that means, imagine that someone has raped in his or her childhood. So that person is not trying to recall it again and again because it's very unpleasant memory to that person. So that person is trying to repress it. So that's actually, and also, so that sort of thoughts, ideas, right? Actually unpleasant memories comes under, actually store under this unconsciousness. And right, so this is sort of a graphic you can see in here. Ego, it, so it is totally unconscious, right?
But ego, it's like a part is conscious and part is unconscious. Super ego, so you can see it like it spread to all these three levels of awareness, right? Okay. And personality development. So under the personality development, according to Freud, personality develops in stages. Everyone goes through same stages in same order, right? So according to Sigmund Freud, he told that majority of personalities formed before age 6. And there are erogenous zones, area of body capable of producing pleasure. So when it comes to like infancy, actually the erogenous zone is mouth, because the small child infant is trying to satisfy his or her mouth by breastfeeding, right, sucking his thumb, like that. And there are fixations as well. According to Sigmund Freud, he told that if someone is not fulfill the relevant pleasure, then that one is fixed in that stage. Unsolved conflict or emotional hang up caused by overindulgences and or frustration. So there are several stages of personality. So as you can see in here, oral stage, and so in the oral stage it goes age 0 to 1. Most of the infants pleasure comes from stimulation of the mouth, as I told you. If a child is overfed or frustrated, oral traits will develop. So oral dependent personality, they are very passive and need lots of attention. Fixation create oral aggressive adults who like to argue and exploit others, and they are very like addicting to smoking, nail biting, like that, the ones who stuck in the oral stage. And so the erogenous zone is mouth or the oral. And anal stage, age 1 year to 3 years, you can see the anal stage. Attention turns to process of elimination. Child can gain approval or express aggression by letting go or holding on. So in here, the ego develops basically, right? So harsh or lenient toilet trainings can make the child either, that means anal retentive, or anal expulsive. That means anal retentive means very stubborn, very stringy, and orderly, compulsive, it's highly cleaned everything. But when it comes to anal explosive, that child is like disorderly, very messy, destructive, or very cruel. So the erogenous zone is anus. And the other thing is the phallic stage, the third stage, which actually goes around age 3 years to 6 years. Now child now notice and is physically attracted to opposite sex parent, right? So there is a two concepts called Oedipus conflict and Electra conflict. And so in the Oedipus conflict actually comes to the boys only, right? So if you interesting about these things, you can read more and more within this 1 hour. I can't explain everything to you all, but you can search. There are plenty of information regarding these personality development stages. So the Oedipus conflict basically comes with the boys. So boys feel rivalry with his father for his mother's affection, right? So boys may feel threatened by his or her father. We call this as a castration anxiety. And to resolve this conflict, boy must identify his father, right? And Electra conflict comes only to the girls, because girls loves her father and competes with her mother. So girl identifies with her mother more slowly because she already feels castrated. So erogenous zone is fells. And the other, the last, not last but least, so the latency stage actually comes starts from 6 years to puberty. Psychosexual development is dormant in here. Same-sex friendship and play occur here. You can see when it comes to like age 6 and puberty, you can see girls are playing with girls only, boys are playing with boys only, like that. And when it comes to genital stages, this puberty, After puberty, you can see the genital stage. Realization of full adult sexuality occurs here. Sexual urges reawaken. So that's happening in genital stage. So according to Sigmund Freud, there are 5 psychosexual personality development stages. As I show you here: oral stage, anal stage, phallic stage, and the other thing is latency stage and genital stage. So next we are moving to discuss about the social cognitive theories, right? This is the third part of the personality theory. So here in the social cognitive theories basically tries to see the attribute differences in personality, so to socialization, expectations, and mental processes. So in here, we can identify Barbara's theory. Right, there are several theories under this behavioristic theories of personality. So Ivan Pavlov's theory is there, BF Skinner's theory is there. So what is Bandura's theory? That is actually, let's see what is meant by Albert Bandura. So sorry, this is social cognitive theory, I'm sorry. Here actually basically we are looking at Albert Bandura's theory, and there is a several Rotter's theories there, Julian Rotter's theory, locus of control. So these theories we are going to see under social cognitive theory, and under humanistic theory we are going to look at Abraham Maslow's theory and Carl Rogers' theories. And also in the behavioristic theories, we are going to look at Ivan Pavlov's theory and B.F. Skinner's theory. So let's see one by one. First, let's see the social cognitive theories in here. So in the Bandura's theory, right? So there basically discuss about the self system. It discuss about self system. All right. So the set of cognitive processes by which a person observes, evaluates, and regulates his or her behavior. Bandura proposed that what we think of as personality is a product of his or her self system. Right. So that is meant by, actually, that is introduced by the Bandura. Bandura actually said, that what we think of as personality is product of this self system. Now, children observe behavior of models, for an example, parents, in their social environment. Particularly if they are reinforced, children will imitate these behaviors, incorporating them into personality. So basically, that's why we call that children are learning from us, right? Because they think or they consider us as their role models. So they try to, if there is a reinforcement, they try to imitate our behavior and they try to inculcate those things into their personality. So Bandura also proposed that people observe their own behavior and judge its effectiveness. Now, when it comes to self-efficacy, that means self-efficacy means a judgment of one's effectiveness in dealing with particular situation, right? So basically what I want to mention in here is that most of the time we learn from the society, right? We learn by imitating others, right? By observing others, by imitating others, right? By behaving as others. We are learning things from others. So that's what he tried to say. And also, most of the time we try to give our attention to capture some sort of a behavior from someone, and we try to retain it in our memory, right? And after a while we try to reproduce it, right? The things that we retain in our memory, and we try to actually imitate the other person's behavior. So so this self-efficacy also a very important concept which comes under social cognitive theories, right? Right. Then we are moving to Julian Rotter's theory of locus of control, right? So in here, this Julian B. Rotter, actually, he is a American psychologist, right? Began as a Freudian. His personality theory combines learning principles, modeling cognition, and the effects of social relationships. And he introduced two types of locus of controls: external locus of control and internal locus of control. So what is meant by external locus of control? Perception that chance or external forces beyond personal control determines one's fate, right? So that means, according to Julian Rotter, according to external locus of control, he tells that we cannot control the important situations or the results of our life. It decided from the external influences. So that is external locus of control. Internal locus of control means no, perception that you control your own fate, right? I am the one who control the important situations, important incidents, and important results which is relating to my life. So that is internal locus of control. And learned helplessness, also another concept. A sense of helplessness is in which a person thinks that he or she is unable to prevent aversive events. So according to Julian Rotter, as I told you, he has introduced two sort of locus of controls, that is external locus of control and internal locus of control. Right. So next we move to discuss about the humanistic theories. And when it comes to humanistic theories, it actually focuses on private, subjective experience and personal growth, right? So humanism, actually under the humanism, what is humanism? That is approach that focus on human experience or else problems, potentials and ideas. Approach that focus on human experience or else problems or else potentials or ideals, we called it as humanism. Human nature means it includes traits, qualities, potentials and behavior patterns, most characteristics of humans. Free choice means ability to choose that is not controlled by genetics, learnings or unconscious forces. Subjective experience, here another concept, that is meant private perceptions of reality. Right. So next one is, okay, next one means under the actually humanistic theories, we can see Abraham Maslow's theory, right? Abraham Maslow's theory. So basically, yeah. Here, Abraham Maslow is considered the father of the humanistic movements. He observed the lives of healthy and creative people to develop a theory. So he develops actually the hierarchy of needs theory. So I hope that you know it. The motivational component of Maslow's theory, in which our innate needs, which motivate our actions, are hierarchically arranged, right? So self-actualization, in there you can see at the top of this triangle, self-actualization need. So the fullest realization of a person's potential. So this is Abraham Maslow. And this is the hierarchy of need theory. So you can see first one is physiological needs, which is air, food, water, sleep, and sex, right? And then if someone is satisfied these physiological needs, that person is trying to fulfill the safety and security need. And after that, if that person is satisfied the safety and security need, that person is trying to satisfy the love and belonging need. And after that, self-esteem and esteem need. Finally, the self-actualization need. So this is sort of a hierarchy. This is sort of a hierarchy. One should one should fulfill the lowest need to go to the next step, right? To go to the next step, right? Okay. So the characteristics of self-actualized people. Now, if you move to this one, you can see self-actualization. So what sort of characteristics are there for the self-actualized people? Efficient perception of reality, comfortable acceptance of self, others, and nature, and task centering, autonomy, fellowship with humanity, and profound interpersonal relationships, non-hostile sense of humor. So these are the characteristics of self-actualized people. Right. So these are some examples for some self-actualized people: Albert Einstein, William James, and Abraham Lincoln. So Mahatma Gandhi. Okay. Now next we move to discuss. So we have discussed Carl Jung's theory, and now we are going to discuss about Carl Rogers' self-theory. Right? Carl Rogers' self-theory. Okay. So Carl Roger is an American psychologist. Okay. And he believed that personality formed as a result of our striving to reach our full human potential. So according to Carl Roger, fully functioning person means lives in harmony with his or her deepest feeling and impulses. And he has introduced another concept called image, total subjective perceptions of your body and the personality, and conditions of worth, unconditional positive regard, and positive self-regard. So these are the concepts which is introduced by the Carl Roger, right? And so this is Carl Roger. Right. So that's it. So these are the personality theories that we have discussed today. So within this 1 hour, there are a lot of to discuss, but within this 1 hour, it is hard to cover all these parts. You can go and search. You can find more details about the personality theories and things. Right. So thank you so much. Now we have covered the first part of the directing session, that is understanding and managing individual behavior. Thank you.